Okay, Patrick, so I'm going to show you some things that I think will probably help to take some of this swelling that you've got around your feet and ankles. Um, Basically, what I think is going on is that you've got disrupted lymph flow, and that's secondary to just a whole load of congested soft tissue. And the problem is that, that particularly the fascia could be tight anywhere between your groin and your ankle. It could be tied all the way along or just in certain areas. So first thing we're going to try is just getting hold of the leg like so and just pulling along the tibia. So I'm using my two thumbs on the inside and my fingertips on the outside, and I'm hand railing. Here's the, I hope you can see that, I think you can. Here's the edge of the tibia. So my two thumbs are actually going behind the tibia and I start just below the medial malleolus here, and then I'm scraping or dragging up. No lube, just dry, dragging up towards the knee. And then gradually extending the strokes until I get all the way to the knee. And it helps if you do this with the leg in the air, like that, because that will help the lymph move towards the heart, which of course is the direction that it's supposed to go. Okay. Now, if you start to feel pressure in your knee as you're doing that, that's because the lymphatic vessels are not freely allowing fluid to pass from the knee towards the hip. So if that's the case, you need to then get in behind the knee and do some of these where you just kind of gently, you don't need to go super deep with this, just gentle active release. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a reserve of skin here, dragging that way while the knee is bent, and then opening the knee up as I drag the fingers some more. So 50% of the stroke movement comes from me extending my knee, and 50% comes from me dragging my fingers on my skin. Then continue up. You should do some of those anyway, but especially if you start to feel the knee getting thick or swollen. Then continue these dragging motions from the back of the knee and working from the side of the knee all the way up towards the hip, like so. Try and keep the foot in the air, and particularly work in the groin. That's where you have best access to the lymph vessels, and you've got to make these strokes. You've got to pull the strokes all the way to the inguinal crease through here. You should find, once you've done this a few times, that there's a dramatic reduction in the amount of swelling around the foot and the ankle. In fact, you should notice it within 3-4 minutes. I mean, typically what I've just done now, if I had swollen feet or ankles, that should be enough to at least reduce it. If anything, 50% of the effect is just from holding your foot in the air. So then, of course, you've got to do the same thing to the other leg. Start at the ankle, work up towards the knee, so on and so on. I'll abbreviate it. Then you do your gentle active release through the back of the knee, and then continue, particularly through the adductors, all the way to the crotch. If that completely eliminates the swelling, you might be in luck. That might be all you need to do, but of course you'll need to do it at least a couple of times a day for probably a few days to get rid of the problem. But I suspect what's happening with you is there's some seriously tight fascia which is helping to prevent the normal lymphatic drainage processes. So I'll show you 3 areas that you really need to pay attention to. One is this area here along the line of the tibia. So now, what I showed you before was just very light lymphatic drainage stuff. Now we're going to do some much more deeper, serious fascial release work. This is going to be a lot more uncomfortable. So you can see I'm going quite deep, much deeper than I was with the other strokes I showed you. And I'm doing overlapping strokes following the inside of the tibia. And I'm gradually going to work my way to the knee. It's going to be too painful to go all the way to the knee straight away, so treat one leg for a few strokes. Generally speaking, don't spend more than a minute before you switch legs when you're doing this deep work. So again, there's the line of the tibia, that line there, and I'm this side, I'm posterior to that, so it's like I'm pushing into the back of the leg to get at all the soft tissue directly behind the tibia. Overlapping strokes, nice dry strokes, there's no lube here. Again, the purpose is to heat up the fascia and create creep in the fascia. And then switch. And I got to about here, so now I'll start an inch or so below where I finished last time, so there's some significant overlap. And now I'll work my way more towards the knee. Just nice, deep, slow strokes, and there's a really big lump there. So where you find lumps, and your lumps might be down here, they might be up here, might be here, you might have lumps in 4 or 5 places, but where you find lumpy bits, that's where you want to slow down and really pay some extra attention just to open all that up. Because congestion back in here behind the tibia will definitely disrupt, or has the potential to disrupt, the return of lymph to the cardiac area. Okay, I haven't quite made it to the knee, but that was a lot further up, so now I go to here. And I'm going to abbreviate this. So the point is you gradually work your way all up to here. Okay. Then the next area is to get in through this whole adductor area. So you can use your fingers if it's super sore, like that. You'll get it done a lot faster and be more effective if you can handle thumbs. So get in here. This is the medial condyle of the femur. My joint line is right there. When I bend the knee, I feel a little notch between the tibia and the femur, so that's femur. There's the joint line, that's tibia. So I'm just this side of the joint line, but I'm pressing into this soft, tender adductor area. Could use the heel of the hand initially if you want, but ultimately you need to get in here with a thumb. It might take you a couple of days before it's desensitized enough. If you've got a lot of hair on your legs, then shave it off. So again, going through the adductor, basically treating this whole area here. I'm going to go all the way up to the groin. This allows you some reasonable access to the lymph vessels. So in other words, the stuff that's tight, the connective tissue that's tight, that's probably causing this accumulation of lymph in your feet and ankles, is probably in this area. Again, you can use the heel of the hand if you wish, but the point is, as you switch from leg to leg, to gradually work up to here. And you're going to be surprised by how deep you have to go. You won't be able to go all that deep the first 2 or 3 days that you do this, but you will have to go deep to get this opened up properly. It should burn, there should be stinging sensations, and it should be very obvious after you've done that some profound changes have occurred in the tissue. If that's not the case, then you're not going deep enough, or you're going too fast, or you're slipping on the skin. Like if you end up going like that, that won't work. So I'm getting closer to the groin. So you're going to work all the way right up to your nuts. Okay, now do this every day. The whole procedure, the lighter stuff with the leg in the air and this deeper stuff. And you can experiment doing the deep stuff first and the lighter lymph flushing stuff second, and vice versa. After 3 or 4 days of this, if you're still finding that you're getting fluid accumulating around the feet and ankles, then you should start to do the deeper work with some lube on the skin. Excuse me. Basically, that enables you to get at the deeper anatomy. It's a bit more complicated, that process, so I think we should probably wait a few days until we see how you do with that lot. But I would say any noticeable improvement from what I just told you confirms that we're dealing with lack of lymphatic drainage secondary to tight, soft tissue. So try that lot. Do it at least once a day, twice a day would be better, and then get back to me.